good evening and welcome to the Marshfield School Committee meeting on Tuesday, April 1st. No April Fool's pranks tonight. Mrs. Pazurski, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Greer.
Here.
Mrs. Darby. Here. Mrs. Bree. Here. Mr. Costello.
Here.
Ms. Stetson.
Ms. Stetson unfortunately cannot join us tonight due to a work commitment. If you could all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks very much. If you could all please join me for the Peace Builders Pledge. I am a peace builder. I pledge to praise people, to give up put downs, to seek wise people, to notice and speak up about her side of cause, to right wrongs, to help others. I will build peace at home, at school, and in my community each day.
They did really well.
It's been a while. Under the open meeting law, I'm informing the public that this meeting is being videotaped by Marshfield Community Media. If anybody is taking this meeting, either audio or video, please notify us of such at this time. Seeing none, we are going to take our spotlight on excellence first, so you are all not sitting here while we go into executive session to talk about contract stuff. So we're going to turn it over to Superintendent Sullivan to introduce our spotlight on excellence and our athletic director, Mr. Billy Bass.
My pleasure. And I'm very proud of the students that we have here, student athletes. And I'm proud to introduce Mr. Battis, who's our athletic director, does a fantastic job with all the teams. And if there's a better sports town around, I don't know of it. Really proud of the Rams. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Battis.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Thank you to the school committee for having us here tonight. Well, I tell you, every so often, in my time in Marshfield High School, it's been a few years now, I just get so excited. It's a great opportunity to be with, our student athletes here at Marshfield High School. And tonight, the last couple of days when I found out that, we're going to have the Spotlight of Excellence going around, it's like a kid on Christmas. It's so hard to choose, what people to come and represent Marshfield High School. So really what we did is we just took a cross-section of student athletes from the winter seasons. I could go on and on about their exploits in the rink, on the courts, in the gyms, but it really, when I was meeting with them all to tell them to come down tonight, if they could join us here. They're just such great people, and I know some of their parents are here and hopefully watching at home. They have so much to be proud of. As an educator in town for over 30 years, I look out and you are the finest that we have to offer at Marshfield High School, and you're just the tip of the iceberg. So, congratulations on your seasons. It was outstanding, first of all. They're mostly seniors, but we have a couple juniors here, so it's great that, they'll be leading us next year as well, too. Unfortunately, the basketball team couldn't be with us tonight because they have their banquet, and understandably, we want them to celebrate their success in their season.
That's more important.
It is, yeah. I thought for tonight, yeah, it certainly is. But
They had a great year, too.
They had a very good year. They lost in the Sweet 16, a great team to Newton North in overtime, and had the opportunity to tie for a second overtime at the buzzer beater, but it just fell short. But like their classmates here and teammates, they really have nothing to hold their heads about because they've been great. In this group of students, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you later if that's okay. But just to highlight, we have two state champions in here, Graham Heinrich from track and field, Audrey in front of me right here from the swim and dive, just amazing seasons. We have a Boston Bruin MIA All Sportsmanship Award winner in Jack Doherty, who's also up here with us tonight. Gymnast and Andy Spencer, who will be competing in May in the Nationals for the seniors. She competed at the state level as well with us. Her teammate, Olivia Audette, also a captain as well too. Just a great young lady. Two people in the front row, Cammie and Courtney, back-to-back Final Four appearances. They're both seniors, both captains for the girls hockey team. Just a great run and really turned our hockey program around with their leadership and that of their teammates. So excited to have them. Matt McCabe, who is, boy, I'll tell you, I'm surprised we actually got him here because he's usually on the road running. An amazing runner. He and Graham, I went up to the New Balance Center in February to watch them compete in the Patriot League, All-League meet, and these two just you would think that like a bear was chasing them. They just went into the back, and it was amazing to watch. And I was with some of my fellow athletic directors, and both of them that I was with, they commented on their strides and their appearance and just how strong they were as runners. We have Miss Miller with us, Meredith Miller, obviously a great the track star as well too. Has run every season for us, Meredith, since her freshman year. Also a state champ as well, her freshman year in cross country.
Meredith, you had no choice.
Was she something? I didn't know that. Maeve Murphy, who is really the epitome of what we want in our student athletes. Like her classmates here, just an outstanding student athlete / leader. Played on our girls basketball team, got us back to the tournament this year with her leadership and dedication on and off the court. I mentioned my man Graham, our state champion. Aiden Pari, Aiden, just a great job this year. Our swim and dive team, back-to-back league titles, which is really good for the boys and girls team. Beat Duxbury for the second year in a row. The girls side did, the boys team was right there with them. Aiden has been one of our student leaders since I've been in the building. I met him as a freshman, like I met most of these guys, and really just amazing, his leadership. The two gentlemen in the end are juniors. They'll be back with us next year, which is great. Alan and Liam. Alan and Liam were selected by their peers to be captains of the wrestling team. This is the first time in 8 years we've had our highest finish in wrestling at the Division II state sectional. So congratulations to both these gentlemen. Really hardworking young men, and again, like their peers here, I get to see it day in and day out. I always say to the student athletes, I always say to our students at Marshfield High School, you never know who's watching. And it's in those moments when you don't know that someone's watching that really shows a person's true character. And all of these student athletes are some of the finest. I get to see them every single day, and it's really an honor for me and a pleasure for me, but to watch them and do the things that they do, excel so well in the sports that they excel in, but just to be the people that they are, they'll make a difference, I hope, in our community down the line, but whatever community they end up in, they will certainly be the leaders that they've been at the high school, and I'm sure going forward. So it's been an honor for me to serve as your athletic director, and just to be a part of the ride that you guys have taken us on. Each one of you, not just in your sports, but every day that I see you in the hallway with your bright smiles and your friendly, holding doors for people, so you do all the things right. And I just want to say thank you, and I want to commend your families as well too, because they've done a great job raising you. So thank you for having us here, and I'm sure you might have some questions for them as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Battis. I'd love to put some faces to the names that you just said, and I know we want them to introduce themselves. If you guys could just go along the line and maybe just stand and introduce yourself and tell us what sport you participate in, that would be awesome, and we'll start with you.
I'm Audrey Hannigan, and I'm participating in girls swimming.
Awesome.
Courtney, girls hockey, and field hockey.
I'm Olivia Adet, and I participate in field hockey, gymnastics, and track.
I'm Danny Spencer, and I'm part of the girls' gymnastics team.
I'm Karen Jordan, and I participate in hockey and lacrosse.
I'm Anderson Dalton. I play boys hockey and baseball.
I'm Jack Doherty, and I play hockey and baseball as well.
I'm Ryan McCabe, and I run cross country and track.
I'm Meredith Miller, and I do cross country and indoor and outdoor track.
I'm May Murphy, and I do basketball and field hockey.
I'm Graham Heinrich, and I do cross country, indoor and outdoor track.
I'm Aiden Perry, and I'm boys swim back.
I'm Alan Archibald, and I participated in wrestling.
I'm Liam Dillon, and I do wrestling and rugby.
Awesome. If anybody has any questions or comments they would like to make, I love spotlights like this. I'm sure you all do too.
I'm always proud of our student athletes.
Yes.
I'm actually on 2 alumni board, so we interact quite a bit. And you can always tell the boys hockey players, right? Playoff season's
I'm Jack Doherty.
Yeah, keep up the good work. I mean, you guys really give Marshfield a great reputation. So I appreciate all of you participating in sports.
Absolutely.
Congratulations to all of you. I think not only has your athletic performance this year been noteworthy, but looking at your faces and hearing your names, I also hear your names when it comes to academics. A lot of you are on the athletic leadership council. I know I've seen some of you working around town, and these schedules are really easy to keep up. To perform at this high level and do all the other things that you do is really remarkable. My favorite thing, and I know your names from this, is when we started the Athlete of the Week this year, and we gave the athletes an opportunity to nominate their peers. And I think every one of you, I recognize your name from nominating your peers to build them up, to congratulate them, and that is really something awesome. So congratulations, keep it up.
Awesome. I would just follow along with what they said. You guys are awesome. It's been so fun to watch you, whether it's social media or hearing about from, what's going on in our bi-weekly meetings, right? I was going to say monthly, but it's way more often than that. Our bi-weekly meetings. It's great to see all of you. I know some of your parents, and I know I've been watching your journeys through sports, and it's awesome to see a lot of you that do more than one sport. That's a huge undertaking. School's not easy. Being a kid isn't easy, and taking on all these extracurricular things, and I know that sports aren't the only things that you guys do. So thank you for being such great representatives of our town and our community, and I look forward to seeing you guys around. And Mr. Battis, thank you very much for your dedication to Marshfield Public Schools. You can see how proud you are of these students and how proud you are to be an employee of the district, and I have a lot of respect for you, and I just wanted to thank you publicly.
Thank you. I'm very fortunate to be here.
Well, I'll just echo all three of those very well said comments. Excellence in Marshfield Public Schools is seen in a lot of different ways, and your excellence on the field, and I'm piggybacking on what Mrs. Dargan said, your excellence on the field is second only to your excellence in your communities and your excellence as leaders among your peers. We hear your names, we see everything that's going on in the schools from a bird's eye view, and all of the wonderful things that you're doing to build up the community. So it's really nice that we're able to recognize you all here today. I think I might ask anybody a question here, if anybody would like to be the sacrificial lamb and answer the question of, kind of put yourself in a position where most of you are seniors and you're going off to whatever's coming next for you. 5-10 years from now, what will you look back on your athletic journey in Marshfield and remember that you learned?
It's a really dramatic turn.
Do you want me to stand up?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
So I played girls hockey for 4 years, and I think these past 2 years, especially with Courtney as my co-captain, junior year she's my assistant co-captain, and this year she's my senior co-captain. But just making it to the Final Four 2 years in a row, it was really a big deal for us, and there was some kind of strengths and weaknesses throughout the years, but I think we really brought together the program, and we kind of started off with a small program, but our grade is huge, so we really built up from that.
That's awesome. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that? You don't have to be shy. It's okay if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think something that's really going to stick with me is just the people that surrounded me, Ken kind of just said, it's just about the special moments and the experiences and the great leadership, Mr. Battis, having a great athletic director, great community around us, and great coaches to kind of lead us through challenges and hardships and wins and losses and all that.
I would kind of agree with Courtney, just being able to show up to the field or the rink every day and being part of a team. It's just something that you can take with you outside of school into the real world, and looking back on that in the future is great skills to learn, how to be a good leader, coming from Coach Battis or Coach Conley or any of the coaches that are represented here. I think that will be a great skill to have.
Anybody else? Well, I think we should give you guys another round of applause. About to ask me if we can take a photo with all of you, so we can put it in maybe in the superintendent's letter and on our social media, and make sure that we give you guys some attention. So, Mrs. Pazerski, where would you like us?
Can I just say, I also just want to say, just one quickly, what great role models you are for the younger kids. I have some younger kids myself that play sports and look up to you and see you in your games, and you can remember when you were younger in elementary school, and just thanks for carrying on that tradition and leaving such a great example and legacy some of you still going with the legacy here at Marshfield, so I just want to say thank you for that. And then with the picture, right away. No, don't be sorry.
It's a big group.
You guys want to get it?
There you go, Lawrence.
Go ahead, Rich.
If you sign up, I'm going to give you
Thank you guys for being here.
You guys are gonna have to back up.
That's a big group. You're going to have to ask. You have to abandon the backdrop.
Yeah, we have to abandon here where we have more space.
Yeah.
Like corner in the corner. Yeah. Sorry.
It's too big for the back. No.
We gotta get to that.
Yeah.
I like that, actually, I
Yep, all people in the back, yep. We're gonna mix it back down.
But we can put the girls in the back and have the guys taking the end.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, okay, so
For the
guys,
camera.
We're fine.
we can't see you.
We'll pinch in a little bit. Yeah, you guys pinch in just a little bit in the back.
Okay,
Mrs. Dargan should come next to Cam.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you all. Good job. Great job. Congratulations. Good job.
Oh, so Meredith. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much.
That's great.
Have a good night.
Two.
Yes, so we're going to enter into, so we'll take a motion now to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body. I so do declare this. Is there such a motion? So moved for Mr. Greer. Is there a second? Second, Mrs. Dargan. That's a roll call. Mrs. Pazurski.
Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dargan?
Yes.
Mrs. Bree?
Yes.
Mrs. Pesca?
Yes, we will be back in a few moments. A new contract with Marshfield Community Media. We appreciate all of your partnership and everything you all do for the schools. That was approved unanimously. So thank you very much. And thanks for your partnership with our folks on figuring out that extension. And congratulations to the new executive director, Sean Leary. Congratulations. Very well. We look forward to working with you for a long time.
Likewise.
Thank you. And thanks for making sure our meetings are brought into folks' homes. So we appreciate that. We will take the meeting as regularly scheduled. We have no student representative report tonight, and we have taken our spotlight on excellence. We will turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Sullivan for information. I'll give you this link.
Yes, thank you. I'll update on some school news. Actually, I'm just going to get this up on the screen. So Dr. Barton, I guess I was first. Trying to remember. Here we go. So, one update on a couple of big events that have happened since we last met. Seems like a million years ago, but I want to thank Assistant Superintendent Miller for his continued leadership in this. He's done this for 15 years now and really works very closely with, of course, the MEF, who does so much, and that's a total community effort. A lot of people to thank. Marshfield Police, the Boys and Girls Club, and there's, Assistant Superintendent Miller can keep thanking people on and on, but it's truly a community showcase of what's great about being in Marshfield, and a lot of people of Irish heritage, or at least Irish heritage for the day. And it was a really good event to raise a lot of money for innovative grants for our schools. So couldn't be more thankful. But some images, I took that one from the last one. There was Assistant Superintendent Miller gearing up for the big show. Look at the crowd. I mean, that is over, I would say 7,000 people in the mix there, maybe around there. 4,000 runners.
4,000 registered.
4,000 registered.
3,980. Just missed.
We can round it up.
Round it up, but quite an event. You know, and you can see it's just massive.
Do we know how much money it raised? Is there?
Not yet. We're still waiting.
That's going to be a big number.
Yeah. It truly is an accomplishment, and the fact that it all benefits our district is very, a reason to be very proud. And we had the Boston Pipers, first time they were here. Yep.
Hey, can you go back one photo?
Sure can.
For a second. I just love one of my favorite things about this event. Students volunteer.
Yeah,
Nick wrote.
And he was one of the first ones there.
Yeah. Surprise. Knowing Nick wrote. Thank you so much.
So at about 5:45 in the morning, there's about 6 or 7 of us there, and who comes rolling in?
That's awesome.
Nick and his father. Nick gets out. It's there.
That is awesome. What a great kid.
That's
There were
cool.
other students there volunteering.
There were a lot of students there.
I won't say if we did or not, but Dr. Sullivan and Mr. Granatino may have taken a little shortcut down the side street to shorten our walk a little bit. And we got yelled at by some students who were standing there making sure runners weren't doing it. We're like, we're walking, we're just... It was pretty funny.
It was great, and the student working there students working there were fantastic.
Yes.
You can see there's the start. A lot of happy faces.
That's awesome. That's a great picture.
People enjoying it. It's wonderful spirit. Yeah, really just a great event all around.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And again, can't thank the people who put it together and the MEF enough, and obviously Assistant Superintendent Miller for his great work on that. Real tradition here in Marshfield. Speaking of hopefully something that will be a lasting tradition in Marshfield for some time to come, we had our first annual, hopefully, our inaugural Mosaic event. The Mosaic event is set to celebrate all the cultures we have in Marshfield. And we had groups from Brazil and Ireland and Ghana and India and China and Ecuador and Colombia and Dominican Republic. We had our Beyond Borders student group. We had our LPAC was there. We had an amazing assortment of the cultures that make us up. And anybody that was there really saw a different look of Marshfield if they didn't realize the diversity we have growing in our community. And again, this ties right into our Belonging Initiative where everyone belongs, everyone is equal standing. And it was a lovely event. This is our Brazilian contingent. They were ready to go. I think if we had kept that place going, they would have went much longer. They said that we have this on a Friday. They wanted to really have some fun. They were wonderful, and they danced. And this is a group. This is early on before the crowd got there. But this was family from India, and the food. If you can just see the food they had out there. I am not, next time I am not eating before this.
You didn't know there was food?
Food was the food was fantastic. Right, I'm gonna fast next time for this event. But it was, I learned a lot. I sat with this family and learned a lot about where they're from and their culture. It was a great experience. There's some of the Brazilian contingent. They did a dance for us. It was just lovely.
That was really cool.
It was funny. They were dancing, and I had my phone on the Bluetooth in the gymnasium, and they probably went for about 5 minutes, and something happened, and it cut out. And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And the woman said, "We're not done." And I'm like, okay. And I played it again so they could finish their dance. They would have went.
Nobody had a better time than that kid in the middle. He had a blast.
He was awesome, and I won't focus in, but some of the kids have the drawn-on mustaches, and I kept doing it. They were funny. That was great. And this is just, you can see, we have the flags of the countries that were represented there. This is part of their dance. You can see the little guy with the beard there. That was the Brazilian dance. This was a young lady from India. No, from India. who gave a little speech about her culture. She let her do that, which was great. This is a dance from the Indian contingent. Irish step. I wish I remember the name of the Irish step.
Boiled and leaving.
Boiled Dundee.
Yep. Sorry, Suzanne.
They were, yeah, Suzanne was there representing them, and this was just a fabulous showing. It was wonderful. This is one of the dancers. And from Ghana. The Nasrallas, Lebanon, and the Lebanese food was delicious.
And Marie works as a cafeteria worker at Marshfield.
Sure does. And two former students of mine in that group, Yvette and Muncie, and Yvette is part of our belonging team.
Yes.
Yvette Brennan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very glad you didn't get a picture of me absolutely stuffing my face.
Oh, well, I don't know. No, I did do it. It's not in this
That one's
house.
coming next. Thanks, guys.
This is our Beyond Breaking Boundaries, not Beyond, but Breaking Boundaries group. They're going to work with our elementary schools and working with social emotional learning and learning about cultures. So it's going to be great. I love that reciprocal relationship. But I mentioned the student athletes and what influence they have on our younger students. The same thing. Just teaching them about the cultures and the world around them. Excellent. I won't play this, but this is just some of them in action. It was more of a dance. It was hard not to love them. They were wonderful. This is our LPAC, our English Language Learner Parent Advisory Council, doing some work. Irish Step, China, Ghana. That's Jen Dronzak, who is our world language coordinator at the middle school. Oh, the world language. There were world language students there. That they got a little extra credit to go, which is okay. But they were great. So that's really something to be proud of. Oh, that was the guy. This guy. That was awesome. He was so fun. Every time I saw him, he was really enjoyable. And that just gives you a sense of the amount of people that were there. It was a great event all around. So I just wanted to share that as some happy school news. And we have more academic updates, and I had my mid-cycle. I can go into a little more of some of the more substantive stuff. But that's important.
Yes.
And it's important to celebrate our cultures. It's important that we have a group like the MEF that's supporting us. And it just shows what an amazing community we have and the opportunity we have to bring it together even in a stronger way. So it's really nice.
So I'm very quickly, before we move on to you, Dr. Norton, if it's okay with you, I would like to just very quickly, and if anybody else has comments on these things. The MEF is just such an outstanding organization. Very appreciative to them for all of their hard work. Every single year on the road race, Steve Dion is the president of the MEF, John Gibberti is the chair of the road race committee, and Tom. Oh, it's switched. It's Christian Group. Christian Group. My
He did
fault.
excellent.
Yep, he did a great job. They're fantastic. They're just such a great group, and everybody who contributed to that. But I really want to talk about the mosaic and congratulate you two in particular, and Kate Malu and everybody involved with getting that together. To watch an event like that unfold for the first year to have it, and to see well over 300 people walk through the door, and not just people presenting, like there was a huge crowd there of people who were just there to see. I think it's so important for these groups to come in and feel welcomed into the Marshfield community, and the fact that you put on such a successful event to do that says a lot about our town. And I want to compliment you on that. I can compliment you on that. Thank you, because that was really outstanding, and it was just such a great thing to see. It's what Marshfield's all about. We're a welcoming community. We love it when people of all different backgrounds come in and contribute to the great things that we do here in our public schools, and seeing those families come in and feel like such a strong part of our community and feel so proud. I watched you sit with that family from India for a long time, and you could tell they felt seen, they felt heard by the superintendent of schools.
Well, I was learning more than they knew.
Well, I'm sure the fact that you were so attentive to that and so genuinely interested just made their week. And I'm sure when they went home, they felt really good about the fact that their kids are in Marshfield Public Schools. And I hope everybody at that event felt that way. I certainly felt proud to be involved with Marshfield Public Schools when I walked out of that event. I'm sure you did as well, because that was just so awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. That's fine. And I do want to thank Jody. I mean,
Yes.
behind the scenes, you know, I can have the idea, but she really did an amazing amount of work getting it going. But I have to say, the families did it. Like they, you know, it's like just, you light the spark and their authenticity and their love of their culture and the culture we have here in Marshfield. It's like, it's a sharing. They were very clear about being proud to be here too. So it was just a lovely sort of expression of that. Emily Baird, a lot of the principals, the LPAC, but behind the scenes did a lot of work.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind me sharing, but a good friend of mine is Yvette, presented from Lebanon with her family, and she's a good friend of mine from high school. She told me that, again, I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, I'm sure she won't. She told me what we were standing there. She said, when we were like middle and high school, I used to get bullied for being from Lebanon, and you have no idea how much it means to us that they're doing this. So kudos to you guys. Well, I had a superhero when she touched strings. So that was not a surprise that there was another people in the room. But just really fantastic. And I can't tell you enough. I've been talking about it all week. I went back, I worked from the School Committee Association. I went back the next day to our staff meeting and told everybody how great it was. Just really fantastic. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice to add something to our amazing town. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Martin.
Okay, a few things. Marshfield Middle School, Firstbrook Middle School and High School had an afternoon with the Day of AI reps from MIT. The former Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education, Jeff Riley, presented, and then a trainer from MIT presented. There is an upcoming training on April 10th for some representatives from each building and our computer science and digital learning departments to go more in depth in some of the Day of AI resources they have and the curriculum and how they do some lessons with our kids just to get them more exposed. There's also a parent and caregiver session on April 16th. Jeff Riley will be there as well as someone from MIT. So they will be talking to parents about AI and what it means to our kids.
Jeff Riley was the former Commissioner of Education.
Rich loves Jeff Riley.
I will say you got a good response though.
Yes, they did, yeah.
Yes.
Let's see, elementary coaches, so Jana and Nicole, our literacy coaches, have been working with the National Teacher Project and the Department of Ed, just to network with other districts who are implementing the same literacy program. They are very impressed with Jana and Nicole's leadership around implementation, so that is kudos to them. The Wellness Committee has been meeting, so today we finalized a draft of the new wellness policy, so just a revision that will be coming to you in a couple of weeks. And then we looked over questions for our YRBS survey this spring. And then the PD committee meeting yesterday, we looked at some survey data to find some trends. There were about 250 responses from our teachers, which is about half, a little less than half, which for us, that was good. So we will be sharing that out with buildings and leadership in the upcoming weeks.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Mrs. Sklar.
I just want to announce a CPAC presentation that's coming up next week. So all parents and caregivers are invited to a special presentation. And this one is called The Emotional Brain. It's going to be presented by Joanne Silverman from Pilgrim Area Collaborative. Just to read the little blurb so people have an idea of what it's about. Emotions have an impact on learning. They influence our ability to process information and to accurately understand what we encounter. But how much do parents really know about emotions? There has never been a more important time to look more closely at how emotions impact our children. Young people are presenting with higher rates of anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and substance abuse, making it difficult for them to be fully present in the learning environment and in society. So during this workshop, they will explore the emotional system, gain a better understanding of how it impacts behavior, and learn effective strategies to incorporate emotional resilience into parenting. So it's open to all parents and caregivers from preschool to grade 12. It will be in this room on April 9th, starting at 6:30. And CPAC just does such a great job putting these presentations together. They're always very well attended, so.
Thank you very much. That microphone is just a prop at this point. I think it keeps dying and
Oh.
turning off, so you can hear us, right? You can hear us? Okay, good. Mr. Miller? I
Couple
know
quick
they'll hear you.
What's that?
I know they'll hear you.
A couple quick updates. Martinson Roof Project has kicked off. We had our OPM and architect assigned by the MSBA. OPM is Accenture, architect is KBA. KBA worked on the police station, so Fred Russell is familiar with them, so that's brought to a good start there. We had a Zoom meeting this morning. We have a site visit at Martinson on Thursday. The timeline for that we discussed this morning. We're looking at a submittal for the October MSBA board meeting, which is right about the time our October town meeting will take place as well. So that timeline, we're going to be able to work that out. And then hopefully, if all goes well, we go to a November vote for November election vote for the Martinson roof. The only other update is we're looking at getting transportation registration, bus registration out this week. We were a little delayed in getting it out, but we're shooting for April, end of March, early April. And we're going to set a deadline by May 15th. So, again, we're going to try to get this out to our community as much as possible. That May 15th is a really firm deadline, because that's some of the issues we had this fall were due to the fact, as you all know, due to the fact that so many people registering later in the summer. So it's really important that everybody registers and gets that in so that we can get the routes done, get the passes out. We're trying to get the passes out to the students before they leave for the summer, so for next year.
Great. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
It's been our practice in passing out projects, so I think somebody.
I was going to mention that too.
You know, the committees, the OPM and
You run the furnace
do that.
roof.
Mr. Greer's been nominated once again to be our liaison to that project. Is there a second? Second from Mrs. Brayton. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That actually doesn't need to meet a vote. That's just my appointment, but that's just for show. So I'll happily appoint you as the liaison to that.
Yeah, and prior to paying that, like we did last time, punch list, that came sort of made for approval and punch list before the payment.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of approvals as it ramps up.
So,
Yeah, so I'm happy to.
so given that, I'll kick it off with what the OPM is.
Yeah.
I think that was a successful thing for you last time with the furnace roof, so I appreciate you wanting to do that again. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any subcommittee reports at this time? Yeah, no, go right ahead. Yeah.
How are we doing with the bus routes and the timing?
I was just discussing that with Dr. Sullivan this morning, and it's been really quiet. I think initially there was a lot of angst. We did add an additional route in October-ish, which settled down a couple of routes that we're having problems with. But we haven't been receiving any complaints or any issues. So I think we're in a good spot right now. And again, that's our hope is to be able to the issues that came up September, October, due to still moving routes around and a lot of people still. I mean, we were still pulling students on in September. With the additional route, I think we're hopeful we can get it all settled well in advance and not have any issues.
How about the time between the upper schools and elementary?
It's been good.
That's been good.
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
I mean, it happened. That happens every year.
It's smoother.
It takes a few weeks before those problems.
That happens in every district.
It happens in every district every year. It's happened every year here too, because you can't really do it. They do dry runs, but yeah, you can't. And and at the beginning of the year, people, it takes longer for kids to get on the bus, and it's just it's all that all piles up, and every 30 seconds here pushes it later. I mean, we had a couple. After a few weeks, we still had a couple that were still arriving a little bit later, and those are the ones we tweaked. So, and since then, it's been good.
Great, thank you.
I haven't heard anything from you guys about middle school and high school riding together.
No, I mean it's been
it's not a rare thing to see that in other districts. Like,
No, I'm aware of that.
but for us, it was new,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Yeah.
one of the things to remember is that a lot of the things we're experiencing are typical for districts that have fuller buses, regularly full buses. We had a situation where we had buses that were very empty, and so this is. I don't think it's an out of the ordinary thing. The middle and high school situation, we haven't had significant issues, and we have more kids on those buses.
The biggest issue initially was the high school students getting on and sitting one to a seat.
Yeah, that was a problem. Once we fixed that.
We had to go on the bus and walk down the aisle, and then one time I looked and I saw my daughter sitting like this, and like, do you sit like so we took care of that. I think it's all worth it.
They weren't used to.
But it's
The high school students were used to one to a seat because there was only 25 kids riding the bus.
Yeah, that's not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable or fiscally responsible.
Well, that's the fiscal responsibility is exactly. So, any other questions?
The traffic flow has been great, I think.
Yeah.
Great probably to come overstatement, but as good as it could be with what we're doing.
I drive every day at the high school and middle school myself personally. And I know it's not perfect, but it's moving.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Any subcommittee reports at this time? Mr. Greer, I know you have an event coming up, not exactly a subcommittee, but you're welcome to plug it in.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. So I'm going to be putting on an historic hunt. It's going to be held 9 in the morning this Sunday for ages 0 through 12 at the Marshfield Rowing Club. We're going to have 3 age groups. There will be 2 silver eggs and a gold egg for each age group. And the silver eggs get a prize, and the gold egg gets a grand prize. So that's open to everybody for a judge.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know you're running that, so thanks for doing that. Quick question for you on that. Will you be in a bunny suit?
No.
That's unfortunate, because I would have changed some things around and I would have been there. If it would have been torrential downpours, it could be snowing, I'd be there.
I'll think about it.
Yes, no, but thank you for doing that.
That actually might be a deterrent.
Yeah. That doesn't want to see.
So you're volunteering for the bunny suits?
God, no. I was Santa one year at the preschool program's Christmas party. That was enough. Any other subcommittee reports this time? Okay, thank you very much. We've reached the point in the meeting for public participation. If anybody would like to address the committee, thank you very much. Seeing none, our MEA update is also not available for us tonight. I'm going to move the meeting minutes to the end of the meeting. Ms. Pazerski, if I forget, as I do roughly 35% of the time, throw some at me. And we'll just go in order here, old business, and we'll turn it over to Mr. Miller to discuss some updates with our operating budget for FY26. Mr. Miller.
Sure. Just a real quick update. There were a couple documents in your folder. The one is the budget draft. Right now, if you follow that through, we were thankful to receive additional funding to the tune. And so our 3% increase was $1.73 million. The advisory board recommendations at their first meeting brought in another $271,000. And then on top of that, there's an additional $631,000 in free cash items that are in the special warrant. So all told, that brought our budget up to $60,336,636, which is a 4.57% increase, which is just off our level service funding, which was 4.76%. The delta right now is about $112,000. But there's still a few things that are still in flux. our total salaries from the initial budget right now have dropped slightly, but there are ebbs and flows to that, so we're keeping it static on this document. But the 112,000, there's also, we did discuss the tier 1 list from the bad idea list. That's also in your folder, which totals 350,000. My recommendation right now is to hold firm on those items. We're actually holding the librarian off, the middle school off for now too as well. But those other 5 items represent just under 300,000, about 290. But with everything still in flux, recommendation right now is to hold firm on that because there's still going to be some moving pieces moving forward. So, so we're in a decent spot right now, and only having to not fill a few of those vacancies that we have due to retirements.
Tom, quick question, sorry to put you on the spot, but does your projection account for the increases that we may be negotiating?
So that's one piece of the puzzle. That's why I'm recommending that we go a little bit further to here. I think I mentioned this with the union. I'm carrying 3% for our one outstanding contract.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's still to be negotiated. So there's obviously. Yeah, I'm carrying 3%.
That was my question.
Yeah.
First off.
No, so that's obviously up to negotiation. We're hopeful to come at 3%. We need that. We need some variability there.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, when you say hold firm on the bad idea list, meaning follow through with the things on the list, or
right now? Yes.
The tier 1 list, the few basically positions we're not renewing.
So right now we're 112 off. This is 350. The librarian, that's the one hold on the whole thing here, which brings us to about 280. So right now on paper, we are about 160 to the good. Now we obviously that can go with a circuit breaker. There's a million different things we can do there. But we need to develop a little bit of a cushion because we don't have any right now, and that's my fear. So if these items we're able to move forward with keeping those reductions, that'll allow us to build a little bit further. And a lot of this depends on how we close out fiscal 25, which we're working on right now as well.
Could you repeat that, Mr. Pierce?
Yeah, I was asking if we had supplies covered, and the answer we played up was no. So you have to back that up for this list.
We have supplies covered.
Which
for 63 and 60.
It's on the list.
Yeah, we kept that there based upon our conversation we had at the committee level and our conversation with the elementary principals.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
we can always. But what we did, Dr. Sullivan and I did talk to the elementary principals about when do we need to know when that list would go out. So there is a chance if we close out fiscal 25 well, we can reevaluate in June and then make those decisions.
So it's a place.
It's a place. It's absolutely what it is. Yeah.
That's fine.
So can I ask just a semantics question? Moving forward, can we change the name of this list to not be a bad idea list?
Yes, won't you laugh? We just call it tier 1.
Like fiscal reduction?
Because
there are some things in it, quite frankly, the reduction of those supplies and the discussion that we had in our public workshop is that it's not a bad idea.
Right.
It's actually saving the taxpayers $63,000, and we're, yes, putting it on some parents, but for parents in financial need, there's opportunities to get those things donated. I mean, that was a discussion that we had. So
so what this will change. This will change. There is an FY25 document because we did reduce 700,000 in unfilled vacancies.
Right.
And this is very similar.
Right.
Once the budget is approved by the committee, and this is part of the budget, that's how.
And remember, we did just to stress. I think it's a good initiation.
Thank you.
But just to stress that we did initially ask for 5.37 that we felt would give us optimal efficiency in our in what we do.
which we do every year. We know that we're never going to get that final number we request, but it is important to note that. I think it's at this point, I would like to note, because we haven't had a meeting since then, but we had a very productive meeting with our town administrator, with the town treasurer collector, and with the chair of the select board, Ms. Findler. And Kendra Stetson was there with us as well. And I would just like to thank them for their willingness to hear us out, to communicate with us on these issues, to help us meet the number that we need to meet for this year for both services, and also for their commitment to working with us moving forward to fix any sort of communication issues that may exist between the town and the school, and to make sure that we are adhering as a group to the philosophy of one town, one budget, one community, one budget, which I think is really important for us to know. So I just want to thank them for that, because it was a good meeting, it was a productive meeting. We left with exactly what we needed to make this year work. And we left with the knowledge that they are aware of our hope for future years as well, and that those conversations will continue. So I want to thank them for that.
Quick question. So when we have all the numbers in for this school year?
Or this?
Yeah, when you typically resolve that circuit breaker?
I mean, we won't typically close out till mid-July, but we'll have some initial figures right around the end of June.
Yeah, can we start on the 26, 27 at that point?
Yeah.
I'm concerned with.
We also find
Roll right
out,
into it.
we find out fairly late around our grants, mainly Title I, II, which is frustrating, but, you know.
No, I think we're definitely going to start fiscal 27 much earlier and work with the town on that well in advance.
Cool. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Much appreciated. Student Opportunity Act.
All right, so it's up on the big screen, or you can follow along. It's also
Everyone should work too.
yeah. So I'm just outlining. I'm kind of reviewing what our Student Opportunity Act was based upon, and then giving a progress report. So this is actually due to the Department of Ed. They are asking for a progress report, so I'm sharing it with you as to what is planned to be submitted. So just as a refresher, the Student Opportunity Act is really about making sure that all kids have access to high quality instruction. And it's evidence-based programs and strategies. So they want to make sure that we are using things that have been researched and based on evidence. So they review the Student Opportunity Act plans every 3 years, but they also ask for annual updates. So on this, it's on there.
Oh.
No.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't, the color doesn't come up there as well, but this is supposed to be a triangle.
This is a triangle.
Yes, so it really,
I
it
see
starts
it
at the
now.
bottom. I know.
Oh,
It starts at the bottom. So it really, one piece of this is really talking about the instructional materials we're using, but also making sure that we have culturally sustaining practices and ways to meet all of our subgroups of students. So the first thing is really to prioritize our focus areas. So we have to select 1 to 3 areas, and then select the evidence-based programs from what DESE provided us as a list, and then to monitor the progress. So tracking what we implemented, but also data like our literacy screener, our diagnostic assessments, things like that. So that's basically the foundation of that. So our 4 evidence-based programs of focus that we chose were inclusive curriculum adoption, supporting that implementation of that curriculum, comprehensive literacy, and early literacy screening. So those were kind of the 4 evidence-based programs that we based our plan on. So the first one, on the curriculum adoption, so these are kind of the things that have happened since we originally outlined all of this. So we participated in a network with the Department of Ed to gather information around what's out there and choose our EL program. So Literacy Council did that work There were people from all of the schools. There were classroom teachers, ELL teachers, special education teachers, our literacy coaches, administrators on that council. And then from that council, the teachers turned into our lab teachers, who were kind of our ambassadors, our people that went out in front. They have really led their colleagues through the implementation process. Our second part was really supporting that implementation. So we're talking about looking at the science of reading, the most current reading research, and making sure that what we selected aligns with the research. The training on that specific program that we chose, which was expeditionary learning education, really training people on how to implement all of the resources that are available. It's a very dense program with a lot of opportunities for teachers to have different resources, but it's also a little overwhelming. So we wanted to make sure that we gave training around that. And then the lab teachers and our coaches are really providing a lot of the support. They're giving some professional development, they're doing modeling, all of those things for our teachers. Our comprehensive approach to literacy really comes in with a few components. So we, Amy Scalaro kind of led the charge around looking at how we are providing support services for all of our students. So looking at a structured schedule where we have dedicated time blocks, and that structured schedule is set up similarly across the 5 buildings. So they all have a WIN block, or what I need now block. They all have a small group instruction block. They all have a foundational literacy block in K to 3. So that schedule was a component. Making sure that we had all of the components of literacy, so phonics, fluency, vocabulary, writing, comprehension, were all integrated within our literacy program. And then differentiated instruction based on data. And again, the intervention block to make sure that anyone who was struggling had additional support. And then the last part was early literacy screening. So we have a universal screening K to 3 using dyslexia screening tools that were approved by the Department of Ed. We use, one thing that we did switch was from Early Bird as our dyslexia screener in K1 and 2 to Dibbles. So we found that the Early Bird data was not really giving us the best picture. They changed a lot of their subtests, which really skewed the data, so we switched midstream to what we thought was a better tool. And then anyone who was flagged for possibly having concerns around dyslexia get an even deeper assessment. And then they decide what interventions, based on those assessment results, that each individual student needs. So that's all based on the screening tools that we use. And then progress monitoring happens throughout the district, just making sure that the interventions we're using are being effective for our students. So some data highlights. We have to provide any data, good or bad, around what we are doing, especially for our high needs subgroups. So our ELL population, our students on IEPs, and our economically disadvantaged or low income subgroups. That's really what we honed in on. So in kindergarten, for letter naming fluency, there was more growth for students on IEPs than our overall growth for all students. I'll just highlight a few. In grade 1, there actually, oral reading fluency was, we had higher growth on our students with IEPs and our economically disadvantaged subgroups, more so than our overall population. The two things in kindergarten and grade 1, or the one focus area in kindergarten and grade 1, is really our ELL students. We want to make sure that we're monitoring them. They did not surpass the other groups for growth, including there's still a gap there with their growth. So we really want to make sure that we are honing in on what we're doing for those students. I know that we have started at some of the buildings really targeting our student support teams around individual students who are ELL to make sure that we are giving them all the support that we can. And the iReady growth in grades 2 and 3, it's already higher for our ELL population, so that's a positive. And our economically disadvantaged students than at this point last year. So they've made more growth compared to last year. So those were some highlights. And then the other piece of the plan is how we are engaging our stakeholders. So a highlight was our CPAC and LPAC councils. And I think Kate has done a great job of establishing our LPAC, but also providing ways to make sure that we get higher attendance. And Ms. Lara has done an amazing job growing our CPAC as well. Family communication, so all of our assessment reports, we make sure that we share those in native languages and also provide support strategies so families can help their students at home. Belonging initiatives, so the belonging team and the mosaic events to make sure that we are including everyone. And then feedback mechanisms include our school council surveys, which really gathers input around culture, communication, and decision making. So those are ways that we've been engaging all of our stakeholders. And then next steps, they want to know where we are going. So we are continuing with our 2 elementary literacy coaches. That was kind of a pilot that started with 1, it grew into 2, and they have done an amazing job. So we are going to continue with that model. Learning walks, we did start the learning walks as a district this year, or we brought them back and kind of built them up a little bit, but our literacy coaches are also doing some literacy learning walks with our building principals to make sure that they're looking at, specifically looking at what teachers are doing with students during that literacy block. Scheduling, we're going to reflect on the new model. We have a meeting next week to really dive in and get some teacher feedback where we need to adjust to make sure that we're providing support for our students. And then continuing the professional learning, so making sure that we're providing time for them still to dive into that curriculum because it is so needy. They definitely need more time. We didn't even really, one of the components is called an all block. We did not really dive into that this year because it is so much. So that is something that we're going to look at next year to make sure that we add that component. And that's it. By the way, I just want to know that it says made with Gamma, so this wasn't a ad-generated presentation. I plugged in all of the information, and they put it into the, they added the pictures and put it into like the pockets. Pretty amazing. So, pretty amazing.
I do have one question for you.
Yes.
On your early literacy screening and support slide, progress monitoring, it says regular checks.
Yep.
Ensure, that they're effective or whatnot.
Yep.
What is regular?
So they do that I would say every couple of months. So 3 times a year is when the screening takes place. So we need at least that. But then in between those screenings, teams generally meet to look at data, whether it's where they're going on MyPath and math, or where they are falling on foundations assessments. Like we keep a tracker of that information from all of the teachers so we can see where those pockets of kids are that might not be meeting what we want them to meet as far as benchmarks, and especially phonics. That's a huge piece for us. Making sure our kids have those building blocks for reading.
I would add the elementary council side one that presented the data a couple times so far this year. It's really fascinating. So that like the new, I think it's new data system that we have, it's showing different things, and it's really interesting to watch. Yeah.
We have the data dashboard, and then we also have, iReady has its own dashboard, but so does Forefront. Forefront was what we implemented with math, but now we are able to pull in our literacy data into that same system, so it's easier.
It's a game changer.
And so it's not just like, everyone now we have to test you, like it's a test day. It's like all this stuff.
Right, yeah, which is great.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, question and comment. So In your selection process, this is made up of educators only?
Educators, and we also get student input. So when we field test, we have the teachers who are field testing fill out a daily survey as to what happened in the classroom, all the components that we used on our rubric to evaluate. And then at the end of each week, the students fill out a survey.
So this is, okay, so you're evaluating what's already happening, right? Like when you go to select a program,
Yeah.
who's involved in
That is the team, so.
that? What is the team?
No, so the team is made up of educators across the 5 buildings. But what we have, really, DESE provides, and so does Ed Reports, a list of programs that they feel are evidence and research-based that meet the needs of kids. So there is a list of maybe a dozen programs on that list, and then we picked through those. So we looked at sample documents or sample materials. We looked at websites. We talked to other districts. And we narrowed it down to, I believe it was 5. And then we had publishers in. And we got pilot accounts. And we narrowed it down even further to the 2 that we ended up field testing. And that's when they went into classrooms. But all of those programs really had to be, DESE is really pushing us to use the programs off of their list. Because what we're finding is if we don't choose those, some of the grants are not being awarded if you don't adhere to what they feel
Okay,
is
that was
the
my
highest
next
quality.
question, because I just trust DESE.
But I will say, out of all of the programs, I do think that this is a really robust, high-quality program. I think our teachers, at the beginning of the year, they were like, whoa, but now it's really kind of coming together. More so at the upper elementary grades, they're really loving the student discourse and the
Student
just
engagement,
that,
the peer-to-peer
yes, the
engagement is very
engagement
high.
is just, gone through the roof. Elementary, they're still using foundation, so there's kind of, some of the teachers expect us to have phonics within this program, but that's not what this program, this program is knowledge building, it's all about the research, what foundations for that. So I do think it's a good program. I know other districts are selecting it. We just talked to Sudbury yesterday who selected it, and they're looking for implementation ideas. So I know it's up there.
We have other components on it too, as you said, foundations, you have Hegarty.
Yep,
We have other pieces of the puzzle with literacy that makes this work. I think, at the heart of your question though, I could hear was parental involvement in terms of.
To a degree, but not over involvement, but I'm more concerned.
Right.
One of the problems I have is we have these programs presented to us every so often.
Yeah.
And we get we get an email the Friday before with the kind of a brief description, and we sit here and ask a couple of questions. But other than that, I don't understand these programs. And so, I think it would be nice if the school committee had some representation in the selection process for these curriculums, so that we can bring that forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, if we can look at how we loop you in more with
Yeah.
it.
Because we get an after effect, you've already made up your mind, and it's either a thumbs up or thumbs down, and it has to be done now, or it is.
I mean, I know the process they use is very thorough. It's the
Well,
same.
I'm not criticizing that.
No, I know that.
Just
It's
like
just
the-
that-
Yeah, I mean, I give updates, but you're right, there's
Sure.
not detailed updates, like there's not
Yeah, I mean,
robust.
anybody on the committee here, I'd feel a little more at ease if they had that intimate knowledge of what you're proposing.
Intimate knowledge, I agree with. I do want to just make sure that there's no misconception about our ability to choose certain things in that process. That doesn't fall into the school committee's purview, but I think your point is well taken of having somebody who can, and whether it's the chair or it's a designee, who's updated consistently and can get into the weeds of that stuff with you guys. I think that's helpful, and I think it would be helpful for you as well.
Whenever you're looking at program adoptions, you're looking at what are families looking for as well, but also how is that program, how is a family going to engage with it at home with their child? So I think those are important factors to consider. You know, we did the same thing when I was in class, and we did, for math, we adopted Bridges, and then Marshfield ended up adopting Bridges. But that was a piece that we were challenged with as well. You know, how do we gather information about how a family will succeed or not succeed in working with this program? So it's something we can approach as we move forward, and you should feel more in the loop on those things.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to improve the selection process.
Yeah. It's a good process, but I get it.
Not that we're gonna, and to Sean's point, we operate within the bounds of what we're charged.
Right, yeah. Great, okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Dr. Martin. Mr. Miller, you want to talk about private music lesson rates?
Sure. This will be a quick one, hopefully.
$1 whole dollar?
Well, $2 per hour.
What?
Mr. Kaminsky runs a tight ship.
He does.
Wow. No, a great program. He has 8 teachers. He's just looking to, the rate hasn't increased in 3 years. He's just looking to increase $2 an hour, $1 per half hour, starting next school year. The committee has to approve any fee increase. So
You heard that at the Night of Jazz, because they were on
Yes.
stage playing. It was very impressive.
But this is a phenomenon, I know what I'm getting, service
Oh, it's top-notch instructors here, so that's good.
All right, so he wants to make it $26 per half hour?
correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Greer has made a motion to approve the fee increase for the private music lessons. Is there a second? Second, Mrs. Darden. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining, 4-0-0. And Dr. Sullivan.
Yes.
We're superintendent mid-cycle.
Yes, I can go as in depth as the committee would like me to. I gave you the information. There's a lot in there. You can really dive into it. I find that this is a good way to have evidence.
Yep.
It's all in one place, and you can kind of link and go further.
Can I ask, before you begin, can I ask the committee's temperature on, do we want a deep dive, or would we like to keep it a little surface level and ask questions as needed?
I'm happy to start a level of questions.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like 30,000.
Not that
I would like more time to review.
Yes.
You know,
So-
yes,
I
this is
love
so-
that you're doing this,
Yeah.
but I feel like I haven't had enough time to really
So let me just,
be able to ask you.
We can do my base for first read, and then.
so this is not even a first read, because this isn't something that we have to really approve as a
No.
committee. What I'd
Just
like
part
to
of the
just
process.
make sure folks know is that there's a 5-step cycle when it comes to the superintendent review that happens annually, and this is a requirement of that 5-step process for the mid-cycle review. And it's an opportunity for us to just hear where the superintendent is at with his goals and with the goals that we set as a district. And after that, it's incumbent on us to determine if there's anything that we need to adjust. So that doesn't happen today. This is just a brief update on those goals. So if there's any questions on the superintendent review process, I present on it at work every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and as I got you with me. This is step 3 and step 4, really, so I've been collecting evidence. I'm implementing the plan, which you approved, and then I'm gathering and collecting evidence on the goals and performance against the standards as well. Now, the standards which are part of the evaluating process, but in this particular review, this is a goal review. So it's really looking at my goals and looking at the data and where I am with the goals. And as you can see, as it's written at a mid-cycle public meeting or series of meetings, which is appropriate for what we're doing. Superintendent reports on progress being made on the goals in the annual plan. School committee reviews the report, offers feedback, discusses progress, possible adjustments with the superintendent. And then what I will do at the end, whenever you sort of see fit, I'll present a end of cycle report, which will also include a written entry plan. You see the pieces of it already in this, but it'll be pulled together and it will give some thoughts for future actions. As you remember, I have 4 goals in my goal set, I guess. The the first one, professional practice goal, is about my entry plan. And it's that I would create an entry plan in order to gain familiarity with stakeholders. Even though I was here for 20-something years, I haven't been here in 7. I've been in this position, so some things have changed. It's a really amazing experience coming back and seeing the growth of the district, which is significant over 7 years, and trying to kind of calibrate myself within that, and to bring some things that I've learned over in Cohasset and to try to meld it in with the amazing teachers and obviously students and leaders we have here and families. But the first one is about the entry plan. I'm looking at gaining familiarity with stakeholders, identifying effective past practice, potential areas of improvement, and to facilitate a successful transition into the role of superintendent. I think the whole first year is really a lot about transition. There's really layers. There's like the period you come in and you're kind of reacquainting yourself, you're getting a sense for what's really working in the district, a sense for where maybe we could do some immediate work. Certainly Marshfield is not a reclamation project, it's a wonderful district, but trying to insert myself in places and asking a lot of questions, mainly around our procedures and processes, and making sure that we have a process in place for all the things that we're doing, and if we do have a process, is it the most efficient? And really listening to ideas to make those processes more efficient. That's really, it's kind of been like an onion for me, like looking and peeling it back and seeing, can we do this better? And in some cases, we're doing it wonderfully. In other cases, the team feels we can do it better. And then it's just sort of picking and choosing where we focus along the way. So that's a lot of this. Part of it is, you can see my goals at the entry plan here. I won't read them all to you. But the benchmarks of progress, a couple of nice survey tools. We worked with a group called Thought Exchange, which is like AI on steroids. They've really found a way to take information, bring it together, and then to create ranked, ordered suggestions, which is a little bit unique in the market. It's not that you can't do that with regular AI, but they have a little niche going. We didn't end up using them too much this year, mainly because of the cost of the program, but it was a very attractive, interesting program. They did a report for us that is in the first link, and I won't open it unless anybody wants me to, but that was a nice 1 hour or 2 hour session with our leadership team. We had about 50 people in a room right at the beginning of the year, looking at what we're currently doing well, what we could do better, what we should continue doing, what we should stop doing. And it was interesting that the themes that emerged in that survey were very similar to the themes that emerged in the survey I provided for families. And it was essentially the same questions. I asked, what are you proud of about Marshfield, and what do you want to make sure we continue? What do you see are areas of growth? And then I also asked, what are you looking for in a superintendent? So the second document here is some survey results that we ran through AI regarding those questions. And so you can see the themes. And thankfully they tie into a lot of the things we're doing in our strategic plan. That was refreshing, because if you had a strategic plan that was totally disparate from what I was gathering, that's a bit problematic. So we were able to sort of hone in on some of those things. And part of being new, a new superintendent, is I was able to ask the awesome leaders I have to my left here to give us, and others too, to give us some updates on where we are in their particular area of expertise and focus. And we have some of that data in there for you to begin. So, we're moving along, and I could get into some of the data, or I could just leave it here and then, let you kind of mull over the data.
There's a lot here.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's
yeah.
a lot, but the common themes are pretty, were shiningly obvious to me. So we can talk about that maybe in the next session if you want to go into the details.
I appreciate these reports. I liked the AI generated one. It was
Yes.
super easy to read. When we do the survey result reports, can we include how many people responded and what the percentage is?
Yes.
Just helpful to know.
I agree, that's important information.
Yes, I'll put that in, and when I finalize the report, all that will be in there as well. We had a pretty healthy amount of survey participants when I first started, and it really, I let that go into the first few weeks of my superintendency, keeping that open if people remember the survey that I sent to everybody watching at home. You know, we did look at every answer there, and there was a lot of qualitative data in there that I was able to share with certain individuals to get their take on it and their perspective. And there were some emerging themes, so that's good. The next one is, you're seeing a lot of this hopefully, and hopefully you're seeing it in subtle ways too. Not just the groups like the Superintendent Advisory Committee, which we've had fantastic meetings with. I can't wait for them to present to you at some point as a spotlight. That'll be nice, but just hopefully you can just see that bubbling more, where more of our groups have more student voice. And I love spotlights that have student voice. So you should start to see that happening. Our Beyond Boundaries group, Breaking Boundaries group presented to the Lung Committee was an example of it. And every school is doing initiatives. There's a spreadsheet here. I have them putting it in. I don't know that they got into it too much, but you should see that, especially if we keep it open, because they're doing a lot of the schools where they have leadership teams. I was just in Marks talking to them about their student advisory leadership group who was working on menu choices, and we're right in there with our food service group trying to advocate for certain changes of the menus. I love that. You know, it's really giving them student voice, because what it does is it creates agency in them, and that's something that will help them in life as they go through and try to make a difference in whatever they choose to do. So that was really positive. This has a lot to do with the work we're all doing, and this is one of those situations where as superintendent I get to kind of take credit for some of the things that I'm not really leading necessarily. Dr. Mark and others are really driving our learning walks. And we have two major learning blocks happening in every school that involves our whole leadership team in pockets, and we brought in teachers. So one of the things, we're constantly gathering voice in this, and it was usually when learning walks are implemented for the first time, and I know this isn't something we've done, this isn't the first time, Marshfield, but it's done with a lot of integrity right now. And we typically do it for just the leadership team. We listened to the voices of the teachers, though. They really wanted to be involved in it, and certainly wanted to be transparent. So we brought them in, even when TLA, who we were working with, said maybe you don't want to do that at first because you need to make sure you're doing it correctly. We said bring them in, and it's been a good move. It's really worked well. I think they appreciate that, because eventually you want teachers doing learning walks to observe other teachers, because it's a real collective efficacy. It's a chance for them to improve themselves together. So that's happening. We have sessions with teaching and learning. There was a book by Amy Berry that we all read. And we are framing things around noticings, wonderings, inspirations, and suggestions in the classroom. And what's really nice is to hear this language happening, and some used it already. Again, it's not brand new here, but I'm seeing this more and more where teachers are framing things around these areas, which is a really good sign. Again, I talked about the initiatives and voice happening. The Superintendent Student Advisory Council has been wonderful. You know, we've met every month. We've alternated between the big group with the elementary students, where we just gathered a lot of information about how student voice is being celebrated in all the elementary schools, but we've also had conversations with our middle and high school kids about cell phone use, about school pride, and any problems that might be bubbling with the facilities, with the way students are treating the facilities. What else did we really talk about? Learning in the classroom, what kind of learning is happening, and what kind of learning would be productive for them in the classroom, opportunities for voice. So we're gathering a lot of that information and sharing it out as we move. And you can see all of our benchmarks here, you know, just all of these sample learning block memos. There's been learning memos for every school that keeps going, and our advisory council has been very strong as well in presentations. And some of our key actions in moving forward. Again, this is the first year, This group will set some goals for next year, and you're going to see that and the evidence to come in the next couple of months. That's our last meeting with it. Any questions on that? I'll just go to the third goal. This is a good pace. I'll go quicker. Goal 3, this is our belonging and wellness pillar. This has a lot to do with my work with the belonging team. That's a very strong team that has a healthy composition. We're bringing in students now. We brought them in since the 3rd meeting. We created that overarching team already. We haven't really created subgroups of it because I think this was one of those, we really weren't ready to do that because we're sort of defining it and defining what we're going to do with it. And next year, I can really see us looking at social emotional programming, and I can really see us focusing our efforts on all of this as we move forward. The long-range plans for the long team we'll be able to give you by the end of the school year. And then part of it was also creating the mosaic, which we've already highlighted. So you can see all the evidence here regarding that. And that, if you're going to look at one thing, look at the rolling belonging presentation, because it really shows what we've done and what we're planning to do. Any questions on that? And the last one is management and operations, and this is, again, all the protocol work. And I started a list, I've kept a list of protocols that we've been trying to improve and work on. It seems like every day we're coming up with something that we can do a little bit better. That's helpful. I think it's really helping us making us stronger. There was a lot of need for that. I mean, I came on when we were creating a whole new start time. It was the first thing we had to do was figure out a whole new traffic pattern, and then figure out how to put the middle school and high school together on a bus, create the bus routes. That was tricky. But that it did wake us up right away to say, this is going to be a year of really sort of questioning and looking at things, and we've done that all the way throughout. We do have a meeting tomorrow with the police, Marshfield Police, to talk about our latest round of lockdown safety drills and what we're going to do moving forward. And we've had a couple meetings with them, one about traffic, but 2 others about safety as well. So we're continuing that pattern. The relationship is really strong, and our school resource officers have been just amazing. So that continues to be a really, I think, a bright spot so far this year. And we've really tried to create our outcome-based leadership meetings so that we follow up on things, that people have individual goals about what they're to do and following up. And then, we created the vision of the year and our bullseye. Which really it was a little broad this year because we have a lot of things to do. We started particularly with some of the new things. But you can see all of the meetings we've had with the police and the agenda, and the fire too. List of protocols we're working on, the bullseye and opening presentation, our leadership goals, which will continue to next year, but the key actions will change somewhat. And that may shift a little, we'll see. I gave a single leadership agenda because that was something we decided we needed to tighten up. And then, I created a format. I was actually Assistant Superintendent Scalaro, who I think thought of a rolling agenda format that she used, and we kind of adopted that. And it's been helpful because it sort of puts everybody on the same page, and it lets us know what we did the last meeting and what we're going to do going forward. So everything's hopefully is starting to feel like it has a rhythm. And part of our monthly meetings with schools is a learning walk. So I'm learning a lot about what's happening in the district while being able to sort of see some things that, I get it when people are talking about a need for these things, whether it's in our programs. But overarchingly, it's really impressive, just coming back and seeing where we are as a district. It's a wonderful district. But there's always things to improve. That's what we're here for. So that's just an overview of where I am, but I'll take any individual questions, and certainly next time I can get back to some more specifics if you like.
Any questions about it?
Clearly, there's a lot. I don't
Yes.
know how many hours are in a day. I hear Washington, there's a lot of stuff here. Thank you for checking that. I was like,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I want to comment on that too. I mean, the amount of data you are giving us is incredibly helpful, because it's, we should be doing this evaluation as the year goes on and seeing how this is all happening. If there's any more data that is not provided, clearly, I'm sure it's available, and I'm sure seeing how much you value data, that you'd be happy to provide that.
I sure would, and hopefully, and I know we have an AP presentation coming up, that's been something, and next year, we'll be able to sort of articulate these in I think a tighter timeline as we move forward, and I'd love input on what that timeline might look like.
Yep. Awesome, and these folks may remember with Superintendent Granatino, we did an evaluation, we moved him to a 2-year evaluative basis, which you are allowed to do.
Yep.
You cannot do it on the superintendent's first contract. So for these next 3 years, this is the process, as Dr. Sullivan is in his first contract. So what I think maybe we should do too is, not at the next meeting, but at a meeting coming up, with the goal of completing this evaluation by June. And I will be the aggregator as the chair. I will take that on as aggregating our summative evaluation of the superintendent. But what I'd like at a future meeting is maybe to present the MASC language on the evaluative process to kind of refresh everybody's memory and give you a better idea of what the process is that you are tasked with carrying out. So if there's any questions on that process, we can certainly answer those at a future meeting. But this is a multi-meeting conversation on the evaluation. This is a really, really good mid-cycle review piece.
Just a bottom line. Yep. There's some clickable links on here that we don't have access to. So I don't know if that's intentional or not intentional.
Not intentional.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's okay.
We could go through and...
yeah, we can just go through them because some of them that we don't have access to.
It's possible. Some of them are folders, so sometimes you don't have access to them.
I just want to let you know that if you want us to read these, they're not able to.
Okay.
And I'd like to read them.
Joni and I will go through them.
Okay, that's fine. And my other thing is that with just in reference to the safety meetings that you have, we do have a safety committee, committee members, and it's Kendra and myself, and in the past we have been invited to those meetings.
Okay.
So if we are meeting separately as a safety committee, that's still going to do that. I just want to have some organized schedule around that.
Well, you're welcome to come to these meetings. So this is again part of the onion. I didn't know that, but that would be.
Yeah, they're designated on the school committee subcommittee.
So we have one tomorrow at what time is it? 9 right here. So if anybody wants to come to that, you're welcome to. And the agenda is reviewing our last lockdown practices, and then looking forward to what we're doing moving forward with that, and also safety measures. So it's actually a good one to come to because you can see kind of where we are. And I know the community knows they're happening because they get a message when they happen. So.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, we have a few sets of meeting minutes. I would like to maybe hold off. We have a little time on the budget meeting just because there was so much discussed there that I just want to go through and where the budget is not fully set yet. I don't know what people feel about that. About holding off until our next meeting. Especially where the Stetson's not here. So let's look at the meeting minutes from the regular meeting on the 25th of February.
I have one correction, Joe.
Okay.
So on page 3, girls soccer, I didn't clarify that the trip followed MIA rules. I asked the coach to be sure he follows the MIA rules. I didn't say it was okay. I just asked him to make sure that he's compliant.
Okay.
However you want to work that, I forget my exact.
Any other questions or comments on the agenda, on the minutes from the 25th of February? Motion to approve as amended has been made by Mr. Greer. Is there a second? Second from Mrs. Darville. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained.
I should have stated because I.
Okay, then you can go right ahead and abstain. That's a 3-0.
Yes.
Why are you saying?
Because I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
You can approve. You were there.
Yeah, you were both there for the majority.
It's just her, it's her choice.
It's we all vote on it.
Okay, all right, well then that's fine, I just want to make sure I'm following the rules.
You're fine.
But I just know,
No, you're fine.
Okay, so just kidding.
The next set of meeting minutes.
it was approved, but not
March 11th, executive session. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have those yet. That's okay.
It's the December 20th.
Yes, the December 16th executive session. These were approved but not released. This issue has been resolved, so we can go ahead and release these if there's a motion to release these minutes. So moved from Mr. Greer. Is there a second? Second from Mrs. Dargan. That's a roll call vote to release the meeting minutes, the executive session meeting minutes for December 16th, 2024.
Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dargan?
Yes.
Mrs. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes, thank you very much. That's 400. I believe that concludes our business for this evening. We do have a meeting coming up on April 15th. Get your taxes in and then come to the school committee meeting. What a day. Oh, wow, fun day for you.
What is it?
I had to go to sleep study after that. Great.
And that is our annual hearing on school choice. So if anybody wishes to come speak about school choice, that is our annual hearing on that and vote on that. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved from Ms. Brady. Is there a second? Second from Mrs. Dargan. You can do a roll call for that, Ms. Peterson.
Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dargan?
Yes.
Mrs. Brady? Yes. Mr. Costello?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Good meeting.
That was a good meeting. A little of everything, right?
Yes.